Alejandro Lopez.
I'm Álvaro Orozco.
I'm Alejandro Franco.
Alex Lopez here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly run through the game for you. All right, so the game here is Craps, or a simplified version of it, not the one you played at the casino. Basically, you're gonna be rolling the dice and trying to hit a point num, or the initial winning or losing or winning values. If you hit the losing values, then you switch over to the next player. Basically, here on help we have the instructions simplified for you. So you have any questions about it, just go ahead and check that out. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna give the player 1 his initial starting value, and player 2 their initial starting value. And then player 1 is gonna start off the game with his initial bet, so he's gonna bet $2. He rolls the dice, he gets a 9. The 9 is a point number. Anytime you hit a point number, you're gonna want to hit on the roll button here. He rolls again, he gets a 6. You're gonna keep rolling as indicated by the message boxes until you hit the 9 or you hit a 7. If you hit a 7, it becomes player 2's turn. Alright, so you hit a 9. So then you see what it said there on the box? You would be able to tell by here. So if you accidentally click out of the box and you forget what the values are, just go ahead and click on balances, and it'll let you know how much money you're supposed to add on to player 1 and how much you're supposed to take away from player 2. It also tells you the point number of the game. Alright, so let's see. Let's try to speed this up so we can go through it. So I'm going to wager $8. Player 2 only has $8 left. So wagering that and winning on the first turn would guarantee player 1 the game. So let's go for a start. So he gets an 11. An 11 is another value that player 1 can get to win the wager in the first turn. Alright, so the music and these message boxes here displayed let you know that player 1 has won the game, and he is now $20 and player 2 has 0. If he were to whirl a 2, 3, or 12, he would lose the money he bet, and it would become player 2's turn. Once player 2 starts his turn, let's pretend he did. He would hit the button here, start, and now the same rules go for him as well. So now he either hits the 5 or he rolls a 7 and it becomes player 1's turn. Anytime you start a turn, you're going to have to start on the start button. If you hit a point num, you hit the roll button. And basically that's how you play the game. If you want to clear out these values, just go ahead and hit the exit, and it'll start you off from the beginning. And I'm going to be going over the parts I did for the code. So I started off by making the axis points here so that the images for the dice can be displayed. So all of this here. And another part of the code I worked with was the message box. So Alex Franco ended up writing the text that goes inside and working with that, and I simply set up the message boxes here. Another part of the code that I was working with was the callback functions for the edit text. So whenever you put in the starting amount, either place your bets or the starting amount for the second player, that goes into the money balances at the bottom, which I set up to then be used throughout the game.
I'm going to be going over the parts of the code that I wrote to deal with the logistics of the game. I'm going to start here in the start 1 function, which is executed when the first player first starts off the game by pressing the start button. I first define all these global variables. This one is the max number that each dice can roll as. This is the value of dice 1. This is the value of dice 2. This is the roll amount, which is dice 1 plus dice 2. This is the money that player 1 has. This is the money that player 2 has. This is the point number for if player 1 goes on to the regular turn. And this is the wage that both players want to bet. These 4 lines of code will basically dictate the dice rolls. I did so with the rand_i function that give me numbers between random numbers between 1 and 6 for each dice, and then I add them together with the roll amount to get the roll amount for the player. The following lines of code were written by my team members, my other team members. They basically give us images and audio when the buttons are pressed. These 3 lines of code were written by my other team member. They basically let us use the inputs by the users or the players, and let us use them as variables. So if money 1 is greater than 0 and money 2 is greater than 0, meaning that both players have not ran out of money yet, then if player 1 rolls a 7 or 11, shown here with this switch case, if player 1 rolls a 7 or 11, then player 1 wins the wage, player 2 loses the wage, and player 1 rolls again, and the players are informed how much money they have through this message box. Now, if player 1 rolls a 2, 3, or 12, then player 2 has won the wage, player 1 has lost the wage, and it is now player 2's turn, and it is shown with that message box again. And if player 1 rolls a 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, or 10, then they go on to their regular turn, their point number becomes their roll amount, and they get a little message informing them. Now, if player 1 has run out of money, or if player 2 has run out of money, then the other player has won the game. So if player 1 has run out of money, then player 2 has won the game. You get a little message saying so, and you get a little sound that plays. And if player 2 has ran out of money, then player 1 has won the game, and you get a little sound again. Now, if player 1 goes on to the regular turn, this function will execute when player 1 presses the roll dice button. And again, you have all these global variables that are defined. You have the uh, the dice commands again. You have all the images and the audio. And then you will go into these if statements if no player has run out of money. And if player 1 rolls the point number, then they win a wage. And player 2 loses a wage. And you get a little message box saying that player 1 has this much money and player 2 has this much money. If player 1 rolls a 7, then player 2 has won a wage and player 1 has lost a wage, and is now player 2's turn. For player 2, I basically did the same exact thing, except I just switched the variables around to cater to who is actually playing at the time.
Hey there, it's Alvaro again. I'll be discussing the display of the GUI. So as you can see, on the top left is player 1 and on the right is player 2. Each of those are two separate panels, one describing players 1 controls and the other one describing player 2's controls. Axes 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be our dice images in which once they're rolled, it will display the numeric value of the die. The start buttons for each player is to commence their first turn for every round, and the roll is going to be used for continuous turns after that. Below that are the player 1 and money balance and player 2 money balance, in which those are created by using edit boxes, in which both players could submit the amount of money they wish to start with to commence the game. And in between those two are the place your bets edit box, which each player can wager as much money as they wish as long as they have the amount. And to the bottom left is the balance, which is a callback push button, which is used to display the amount each player has at the moment and to display the point num. And below the place your bets is the exit button to clear the amount of wage and the starting amount. And to the bottom right is the help button for those players that have no clue how to play craps and just want to play this simple easy game. So I created the class for this for the GUI, and the purpose of the class is just to display the money amount that each player has at the moment, and as well as the point num in case you forget the point num. I was also in charge of creating the exit button, which is used to clear the edit text. As you can see right here, it says the word edit, and that purpose is just to clear the edit text, and not the static text that was used in the GUI. And above that is the help callback button, which was used by making a message box in which displays the rules on how to play this game. I was also in charge of creating the sound files for both. One's for each after each roll, and one is for once a player wins the game. Here's the commands for once the player wins the game, and here is the command for each roll.